You know, before we begin, the Canadian people are amazing, but beware of these creatures. They will eat you. Welcome to Canada.
They are nicknamed the Great White North, or sometimes even United States' nicer northern sibling. I decided to see it for myself. Canada's opened its borders a few days ago, and I had to be there. What is this great combination of stunning nature, modern cities, maple syrup, and amazing people like? I'm Lux Universe, and this is Canada.
Oh, sorry. Hello Internet, welcome to Lex Universe. So, you want to travel to Canada? Well, this video will not be a proper travel guide. I don't think you need it. If you're coming from the Western world, it's basically the same. But let me give you 10 useful tips that I have for you before you come to Canada that may or may not make your life a little bit easier. I will mostly talk. I will show you some shots that I took in Canada. If you are more interested in the scenes directly from the country, you can check out the playlist in the upper right corner, but well, keep watching this. I really need your watch time. Speaking of which, I'm nearing 4,000 subscribers, and it would really help me out if you could subscribe to my channel and like watch my content. It would be great. If you like it, of course. If not, Anyway, back to Canada. So I guess let's start with the basics, right? So, where is Canada? Well, it's in Northern America, actually very north of the American continent. Well, the official languages are English and French, but in most cases you will really need to learn English because not everyone outside of Quebec speaks French. Their currency is the Canadian dollar. They use the American plug outlet, drive on the right side of the road, and well, they flush the toilet paper, but you know, they're Canada, of course they do. Well, trust me, the second point will be a little bit cleverer. Let's talk about how to get to Canada. Well, in most cases you will fly there. If you're coming from the United States, you're in luck because you don't even need a passport. You just need one of a few documents that are valid in the United States. For some states it's the valid driving license with a photo. It can be some ID card, but let's generalize it and take it all around the world. In most cases, you will at least need to fill out the ETA, which is basically the electronic visa. You will go to this webpage, you will fill out all of the information and pay $7. And if everything works out perfectly for you, you will receive your ETA approval in a few minutes or so. And in most cases, you will probably fly into Canada, which is great all the time. They have so many international airports, so you can pick your own. I entered the country in Toronto, I left the country in Calgary. Well, each of them had something interesting. If you're more interested in that and watching this one in the future, you will find the video of the comparison of Calgary and Toronto in the upper right corner, but you know, it's not there yet if you're watching as a premiere. But moving on. My point number 3 has a lot to do with getting around the country because, like I already mentioned, Canada is huge, like seriously huge. It took me only a week to scratch Canada on my scratch map on the wall. Or in other words, the western coast of Newfoundland is actually closer to London than to Vancouver. That's insane. It's really, really large. I mean, we spent on a plane from Toronto to Calgary for, I don't know, 5.5 hours. Still within one country. Insane. Like, moving it to Europe, you would probably fly from like Paris to, I don't know, Tbilisi. Just made it up, I don't know. I guess that would be probably the same. Moving on. You have several options how to get around in Canada. If you want to move around in further distances, let's say between the provinces or territories, your best option is to fly, of course. The flight tickets are actually quite cheap. if you don't have your checked-in luggage. In that case, well, it will kind of lose the point to fly with the low-cost carriers. Speaking of the low-cost carriers, you can fly with Air Canada, which have the full service, and they're basically like the national carrier of Canada. But there are some other options like Flair or WestJet that offer very reasonable deals, especially if you don't need any checked-in luggages, any like dinner on board of the plane and so on. You know, just normal low-cost carriers, kind of cool. Many cities have multiple airports, like for example Toronto. It has, like, I don't want to lie to you, but at least 4 airports that are called Toronto. And while Toronto Pearson, the main international airport in Toronto, is great, it is well connected to the city by train, and people move between the terminals. Very useful, although quite expensive. Many other airports do not have any public transportation assigned to them, so we will have to get a taxi or Uber or something like that. So, well, I should keep that in mind. That's actually one of the reasons why we went by Flair, because it was departing from Toronto Pearson, while WestJet was departing from another airport that was located some 50 kilometers from Toronto, and there was no public transportation. So, well, if you don't want the hassle, just choose the main airport. If you're traveling within the province, you have several options. There are buses, and there are better than in the United States. There are also trains. I'm not sure if I can say them better, but at least like the local trains are kind of useful. Let me give you an example. I was searching how to get from Vancouver to Calgary, which is some 1,000 kilometers or so, and the train literally takes 43 hours. Really? Seriously? It's like Prague-Hamburg. How can it take almost 2 days? Well, it's traversing the Rockies, so I guess there is some disadvantage to it. And from what I heard, the ride is really scenic, but 2 fucking days on a train? Yeah, says someone who wanted to go by the Trans-Siberian Railway. I'm getting off topic again. You can also rent a car. There are many rent-a-car companies. In most cases, you can really rent it on the airport. From my experience, this was very straightforward. You just pick a random company, you pay a deposit, and like the money for the renting of the car, which is not cheap, don't get me wrong. But in most cases, the people are kind of fair to you, so you don't have to worry about, like they're trying to every scratch on your car. Most of the cars actually have unlimited mileage, which is something that you should definitely aim for, and really like read the contract, because you may be limited by the province or territory and so on. So that's kind of a thing. You can also rent an RV, and in that case the mileage is usually limited, so well, it will give you more freedom, but you're limited in some other ways. Now, speaking of the far north of Canada, especially the territories like the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut, most of these places are not actually accessible by road, so you will have to fly there, and well, it's fucking expensive. I wanted to go to Nunavut, and man, it was more expensive than the transatlantic flight. Moving on to my point number 4, the climate. Like, Canada is in the north. They literally nicknamed the country the Great White North. So what should you prepare yourself for? I mean, we have been there at the end of September, which I expected will be really cold, and well, it wasn't. Like Toronto, I was walking in my shorts and my t-shirt, and it was fairly okay. It was not like swimming weather, but pretty cool. However, as you get to the mountains or to the north, this changes rapidly. Like Calgary itself is a lot cooler than Toronto, and the mountains, like the Canadian Rockies, and the national parks that you can visit there are a lot colder. And even in summer, as the elevation gets higher, the temperatures get lower. But just that's kind of a thing that you should remember. But then, on the other hand, that was end of September. In winter, the temperatures, even in the southern Canada, like in Toronto, Vancouver, and so on, they go really low below the zero. So if you're coming to Canada in winter, prepare for some very unpleasant winters. I mean, I've even seen the Niagara Falls being frozen over. Well, moving to my point number 5, and that's money in general, but let me elaborate on that. First of all, let's talk about the debit and credit cards, because this is kind of important. If you're coming from Europe or from basically almost anywhere else but the United States or Canada, you will need a credit card. Unless you have one, you will have a problem, because in most accommodations or car rentals and so on, you will have to pay a deposit, and this is only payable by the credit card. It's actually kind of funny. When we were accommodated in Calgary, we paid like 4 deposits. I mean, you would have to have a lot of money on your debit card to be able to afford this. I mean, it's not a normal situation, but it can happen. So definitely, if you want to come to Canada, get a credit card. Now, that brings me to the point about prices, and it kind of really depends. Toronto is slightly more expensive than Calgary, but it's a lot cheaper than, for example, the city of Banff or Canmore, which are located in the Canadian Rockies and in the Banff National Park. Because let's be honest, that's the main tourist attraction of Canada, and well, if you want to see it, you'll have to pay a great deal for it. But there are some ways how we can save up some money in Canada, of course. Like, for example, if you want to accommodate yourself, go check the description below. You will find a link for Airbnb, unless you have an account, and you will get a $40 discount for your first accommodation. Now, as a side, one more thing about money is, when you see the price on almost every product in Canada, that's not the final price that you will pay. If you're living in the United States or even in Mexico in some places, this will not surprise you, but if you're coming from Europe or basically anywhere else, you have to consider that the price that you will see is a tax-free price. And then you'll have to pay the taxes in addition to this price, which, if you're not used to it, you will be really surprised, and it may take some time before you realize this. So that's one thing, that's maybe actually that's like the first thing that should be said about Canada. I should have put it into the beginning of the video. But you know, that's a reward for the people who stuck with me till this point. I love you guys. Consider it as a Christmas present. Now, moving on to my point number 6, that's alcohol. This will be really quick, but that's also another thing that really surprised me. When we are talking about Iceland, Norway, Sweden, we all know that they are really anti-alcoholic, and you can only buy alcoholic drinks in the specialized stores. I never thought that was the case in Canada, but apparently it is. So when we talk about alcohol, it's illegal to drink in public places, like anywhere outside of bars or beer gardens, unless you're in Quebec. Like Quebecois, they are alcoholic. So they're my people. Next time I'm going to Canada, I'll just have to stick with Quebec. I mean, I don't have to drink, I just like it. Moving on. Anyway, in most places you will not be able to buy alcohol in supermarkets and grocery stores. There are specialized stores for this. In Ontario, for example, these are state-owned. In Alberta, it's a bit different. Almost every supermarket has their own alcohol shop nearby, so that's kind of different. Also in Alberta, for some reason, you cannot buy a big beer in the supermarkets. Like, I don't know, I always had to buy like these 12-pack of little beers. Then it was like for dwarves or something. Well, anyway, moving on. Moving on to my point number 7, and this one will be quite specific because I will talk about the Banff National Park. I promised you in my video from the national park, which you can now see in the upper right corner, that I will talk about the public transportation within the park, because while you can rent a car and use it all around the park, which is actually like the preferable way for many people, it has its disadvantages because the main tourist attractions are quite crowded. So when we talk about Lake Moraine, Lake Louise, even Banff, these places are crowded with people and you will have really troubles to park. That's one of the reasons why we never got to Moraine Lake, because the parking lot is filled out before sunrise and stays full till the evening. So you'll have to like travel there at 4 in the morning to get a free parking spot, which is bad. We got lucky at Lake Louise, but that was really like one of the time option because we went to Canada just a few days after their travel ban was lifted, so there were not so many international tourists. But if you're watching this from, well, not from now because that's off season, but if you are watching this from the future, like 2022 and forwards, you will have problems. So first of all, if you're traveling by car, there is a free parking lot in Banff right next to the railway station. That's very useful. You can park your car there for the whole day and just like forget it. And then you can use 2 forms of public transportation within the park. So first of all, there is the roam transit system. These are buses that will take you to majority of the main places within the park. Well, not majority. They will take you to Canmore, Banff and Lake Louise. These 3 most important places. The one-way ticket for local buses, which will take you all around Canmore or all around Banff, they cost $2, and those regional ones that will take you between the towns, they cost $6. So you just hop on them, you just hop in and travel wherever you want. You can find the schedules and fares under the link that I will leave you in the description down below. And just one point, if you want to go to Lake Louise with the X8 line, book in advance because it tends to be crowded. But that doesn't solve you the problem that you cannot go to Lake Moraine, for example. Well, that is solved by another company, and that's the Parks Canada shuttle service. You can book a reservation in one of these shuttles. The price is $8, at least from Banff to Lake Moraine. You can again check the fares and all the routes down in the description below. I will leave a link and hope it will help you a lot if you want to travel there by your own. And well, that basically settles it. So, you know, traveling by car is a lot more convenient. You can go wherever you want, but if you really want to visit some of these main tourist attractions that tend to be full of people, the public transportation may be more convenient, and in many cases your only option how to get there. Now let's stay in the Rockies and get to my point number 8, and that's the bears. I already mentioned it in the beginning of the video. Bears are, well, not everywhere, but they do exist in Canada, and you have to keep it in mind. I already talked about it in my video from the Rockbound Lake, if you haven't seen it, upper right corner. But you can encounter bears in nature, especially in the Rockies. Well, not especially, you will not meet it in the city of Toronto, but you know, like, that's what I mean. In the Rockies especially, and in the north. Here are some tips, what you can do to mitigate the danger. Now, first of all, make noise. If you're making noise, the bear usually isn't aggressive and will not approach you. So you can use they're called bear bells. You just put them on your shoes and it makes noise, and it, well, not scares the bear away, but you know, just will not come to you. Or in our cases, we played music really loud and also didn't encounter any bear. I don't know why it was related, but well, at least it felt better. But if you meet the bear, well, one good thing that you should be carrying with you all the time is the bear spray. It's kind of a pepper spray, just a lot stronger. Don't spray it on you. You will not die, but you will hate everything and everyone in the world for a very long time. Anyway, you can buy this thing for some $40, or you can rent it for a day for $10. This is probably the best way because you can fly with it, so you cannot take it home with you. So you can basically buy it anywhere in the Banff National Park or Jasper National Park or anywhere in the Rockies. If you want to rent it, I will leave you the coordinates for one shop in Banff that does rent it for a day for $10, very affordable, and just like pray that you won't have to use it. If you want to know more about the bears, go watch the video that I mentioned already. I talk a bit more about it, but this is the basics. Now, leaving the bears, let's get to my point number 9, and that's the people. The Canadian people are one of a kind. Well, like 10 million of a kind, you know. Anyway, Canadian people, very kind, like amazing. I've never met people so nice to you. It's like, I already said this, but I believe that you meet a Canadian person, you push them, preferably by accident, you spill their coffee, and what they do, they will apologize to you 3 times for standing in your way. They will buy you a coffee and then, I don't know, buy you a bus ticket or something. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but you know, that's kind of what describes these people. Seriously, if you have some psychological problems and you really need a therapy, go to Canada. It's like better than an asylum. Like really, if anyone from Canada is watching me, I love you guys, really. I wish I could live there. And now my point number 10, it doesn't have a name, and it's basically just like, come to Canada. Because really, whatever I will tell you here, you can see how excited I am when I'm talking about it. I'm not a good actor, so, well, you know that it's genuine. So that should tell you something, but that's not all. You know, if you want to explore Canada, if you want to experience Canada, just fly there, it's amazing. Right now, it's not even that complicated. Just need a COVID test and be vaccinated and have a visa and fly there. And, well, taking it back. But anyway, take it as a chance. Because no matter what I will tell you, it will not made up for your personal experience from Canada or any other place. Don't stop traveling. Start traveling if you don't. It's amazing. And I hope I gave you some reasons to visit this amazing country. So, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe to my channel. Like, really, 4K is waiting. And if there is anything you want to tell me, write it in the comments down below. Check out my other social media, Instagram, Facebook. Check the previous videos from Canada or anything you can find on my channel, and I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful time.